カチカとテカテカ。
Until last week, we had been learning about Japanese onomatopoeia related to light over the course of 3 sessions. Actually, I had prepared a summary video of those 4 onomatopoeic words for today, but while preparing, I realized that I should also cover 2 additional ones. So, I've decided to introduce these 2 new onomatopoeic words first. While the 4 words we covered previously are commonly used, these 2 are heard fairly often, but you should be a bit more cautious and mindful when using them. This time, the video will be more explanatory with fewer quizzes, so it might be easier to follow if you turn on the auto subtitles in your own language and listen carefully. By watching this video until the end, you'll learn about the Japanese onomatopoeia related to light,
Chikachika
and
tekateka.
On this channel, I, as a native Japanese speaker, share tips that may help you in your Japanese learning by highlighting common mistakes I often encounter when talking with Japanese learners. Please subscribe to the channel to increase your practice opportunities.
Let's jump right into the explanation. As I mentioned earlier,
Chikachika
and
tekateka.
or onomatopoeia related to light
Chikachika
refers to a very irregular and unpredictable flashing of light, which can be visually stimulating or, conversely, very hard to see. In many cases, it represents a blinking light that causes discomfort. There are other onomatopoeic words that can describe flashing light, such as
kira kira
and
pika pika.
the key difference between
Chikachika
and
kira kira.
which also describes flashing light, is the sense of discomfort.
Kira kira
Emphasizes beauty and charm, and even when it refers to flashing light, it tends to describe a more continuous sparkle. In contrast,
chikachika
highlights discomfort and eye strain, representing intermittent and irregular light. So, what's the difference between
pika pika
and
chikachika.
the main distinction, once again, lies in whether the light is pleasant or unpleasant. While
Pika pika
describes a bright, steady light with a positive impression,
chikachika
refers to an unstable, discomforting light. So, when would you use
tekateka?
actually
Tekateka
is also used to describe an unpleasant light or shine. However, unlike
kira kira
or
chikachika
which describe point-like light,
tekateka
refers to surface-like light. And importantly, it represents a negative kind of light, not a positive one.
tekateka
Is rarely used in a positive context.
tekateka
Describes a smooth, glossy surface, but at the same time, it gives an impression of oiliness or dampness. For example, when someone's face or hands appear,
tekateka
it looks like they are covered in sweat or oil, which can give an impression of being dirty or unhygienic. It is often used to describe situations where something shines with oil in an unpleasant way or appears damp and gives a sense of uncleanliness.
tekateka
Can also be used to describe the shine of food. If the shine of food is described as,
テカテカしている
it means there is too much oil, and to the speaker, it doesn't look appetizing. When the shine looks delicious, it would be described as,
ツヤツヤしている
however, you may also see them used together as,
ツヤツヤテカテカ
in this case, it is not necessarily negative. It conveys both a sense of deliciousness and an oily appearance. Be mindful of the context before interpreting the meaning, and also take note of this when using it yourself. Now, let's take a look at some specific examples.
ネオンがチカチカして眩しい。電灯がチカチカしてるね。壊れているのかな？あの遠くのチカチカした光は何ですか？運動の後で顔がテカテカになってしまった。あまり掃除が行き届いていない。油でテカテカした床。油切った食べ物を食べた直後は唇がテカテカになる。
Now, let's try thinking about how to use it on your own. Read this English sentence and think about which onomatopoeia from above would be best to use. You can go ahead and stop the timer, but if you have time, creating a sentence in Japanese will give you extra practice.
The answer is
チカチカチカチカ
Did you come up with a sentence? There are various ways to write it, and one of them is like this.
パソコンの画面が不安定でチカチカしていて、とても目が疲れる。
Then, how about this? Which onomatopoeia would you choose? You can go ahead and stop the timer, but if you have time, creating a sentence in Japanese will give you extra practice.
The answer is
テカテカテカテカ
And here's an example of a sentence.
彼は髪にジェルをつけすぎています。とてもテカテカしていて不自然です。
Then, how about this? Which onomatopoeia would you choose? If you've written your own sentence, feel free to share it in the comments.
The answer is
ピカピカ。ピカピカ。
In this case, since it expresses a positive feeling of being polished and clean, you should use
ピカピカ。
instead of.
テカテカ。
And here's the example sentence.
床が掃除され、ピカピカ光っている。
Here's the final question. Which of these is appropriate for this sentence? Visualizing the scene in your mind might make it easier to decide.
The answer is
チカチカ。チカチカ。
And here's the example sentence.
目の前でカメラのフラッシュがチカチカして眩しい。
Has your understanding improved a bit? This time, we covered 2 onomatopoeias used primarily to discuss negative aspects related to light.
今日はこれで終わりです。今回の結果はいかがでしたか？皆さんの日本語学習のお役に立てれば幸いです。
And that's all for today's exercise. How did today's results stack up for you? Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.